you went to Team 5, spent a fair bit of time there, and then
two platoons there. Yep.
2 platoons at Team 5, and then you screened to go to DAMNEC,
Yep.
which is SEAL Team 6 for those that don't know that. One of the things I'm curious of, because I never went there, is the experience of DAMNEC versus the regular teams. They're, from my perspective of seeing some guys that I was fairly tight with at Team 3 and then went on and kind of the difference in mentality and how they changed and their perception of the regular teams. What was that experience like for you, and did you notice that same kind of thing, or what's your take on that?
Whew. I mean, there's a lot of layers to that question. First, I can only speak about it in the time period that I went through. Again, detached from the SEAL teams and extremely detached from that command. I would wager that it is almost nothing like when I was there. I mean, they have a new compound, a new facility, all of that stuff. So I screened in I screened in October of 2001.
Okay.
There were some significant events in September of 2001.
I don't remember. I think I was high that month.
Yeah. I knew that I wanted to screen pre 9/11. It was my second deployment, and pre 9/11 deployments are vastly different than post 9/11 deployments. Both of them, you train for 18 months and you deploy for 6. My first deployment at SEAL Team 5 was the Kinetic Air Force Base in Japan.
Yeah.
You basically train to become ready in case the nation needs you anywhere in the world if you happen to be geographically close.
And then they didn't.
And so I drank.
Yeah.
Even if they did need me, I might have drank anyway as soon as we were done. Because that is what I was raised on in the SEAL teams, was a combination of Jägermeister and probably vodka. Not the healthiest thing, probably tailors some of my drinking habits now, but that's a different story for a different day. So first one was at Kinetic Air Force Base. Second one, we come back. The geopolitical world was largely the same. And I deployed to Guam, another hotspot of insurgent activity.
Yeah, got that right.
But on that deployment, I knew that I wanted to screen to go to development group. And one thing that is important, I think, to bring up is pre 9/11, maybe even pre 2005, 2006, even inside of the SEAL teams, I would say there wasn't that much known about development group.
Yeah.
Because it's in Virginia, and if you are a West Coast SEAL, like we were, to go to selection, you uproot your family. You do a PCS move, or which is known as a permanent change of duty station. And if you don't make it through selection, what I found, at least for the guys that I knew, they didn't come back. So there's not a lot of beta on A, what you're getting into, and B, what happens after selection if you make it through, because they're on a different coast.
Yeah.
And as well as I do, if you're a West Coast team guy, you don't see the East Coast team guys that often, because they're not as good as us. It's not like you're going to talk to them anyway. So I'm sure the East Coast guys say the same stuff. Yeah. Absent an enemy, the SEAL teams will fight each other. That's what we're the best at.
And even during sometimes.
Sometimes during. So I had an idea of what I thought it was going to be. And from what I had understood, when I joined the Navy, I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
When I was at OSA school, I literally didn't know it was a mile down the road. I had no idea. And I think one of the reasons that I wanted to be a SEAL, and part of the reasons that it was a draw for me, was because of the fact people told me there's no way you can do this. Because of the fact that it was hard. And I wanted to test myself. When I first started hearing about development group, to me, it seemed like the next logical step. And that only applies to me. A lot of guys in the community have no desire to go. And guess what? They're as good, if not exponentially better SEALs than I am. I don't think that having gone through selection, whether you make it or not, or especially whether you do make it, I don't think it's not a metric certainly not a metric that you should use to gauge your career. It's different. But to me, it seemed like the natural next step and the natural next progression. The biggest difference that I noticed, and I noticed it immediately, was the access to budget and what the access to budget will bring to you. I got issued more gear on my first day there than I ever did in the history of my SEAL career before then and after combined. Yeah. And it wasn't used gear. Everything was in the plastic wrapper. It was all of the stuff that we wish we would have had at the conventional teams that we didn't have because of the budget. Yeah. And with the budget comes better facilities, more access to weapons, to newer weapons, to technology. And part of the charter development group is to test, develop, and evaluate equipment. So you get a lot of new high-speed stuff. if I look at it objectively, it gives you the opportunity to thumb your nose at the white soft teams or the conventional SEAL teams. JSOC would be considered the black side of the house. White soft would be considered the SOCOM versus JCOM split. The opportunity exists. If you have that inside of you as a person and you want to thumb your nose at people, you're going to take that opportunity while you're there. If you don't, and it's a job and you try to stay grounded in who you are and not what you do, all it is an enhancement of what you were doing before. It is different than the conventional teams. You are, at a regular SEAL teams, I would definitely describe you as a jack of all trades, a master of none. And you know this as well as I do. I mean, we would go and we would do
every fucking thing.
Oh my God, OTB, right? Over the beach, OTH, over the horizon. We'd do it for weeks, driving Zodiacs with outboard motors over the horizon for no goddamn reason whatsoever, thrown up in the ocean, pissing in your dry suit because you forgot it was a dry suit instead of a wetsuit. All the fun things that happen when you spend an extended period of time in the water. Cold weather training in Alaska, land navigation, weapons skills, CQB, CQC, whatever the hell the acronym is these days.
Fucking diving,
jumping, and you would just go training block to training block to training block, and you'd actually get, I'd say you get really good at a lot of those things. Like the end of a 2-week OTB, OTH block, your balls. I mean, like you're celestially navigating, compass navigating. I remember we were using GPSs that were 4 times the size of your hat, basically the size of the flag sitting over our left shoulder, or my left, your right. But then it was on to the next skill. Yeah. And so you're constantly flirting with currency and competency. At development group, you could probably do all those things, but it's not your main job. Yeah. Your main job is to figure out a way to get to the threshold of a door and then own what's on the other side of the threshold. It's much more kinetically focused, in my opinion. Yeah. That was my experience when I was there. We spent almost every day in the kill house, refining our craft, mastering the trade. The kill house was amazing. Movable walls, multi-story. They could turn all the lights off. 360-degree ballistic shooting. We had access to the TF-160th, right? Again, budget. Amazing helicopters and even more amazing pilots. And we would do vehicle interdictions. We would do every different variation of a target set that you could ever possibly want to do as a SEAL over and over and over again. And you just don't have the access and ability to focus at that level at a conventional team. You don't, because you're responsible for so much more. So then when it comes to being overseas, you are, I would say, much more focused on that kinetic aspect because that's what your sweet spot is. And then that's what the ground force commanders and the battle space owners expect of you. The conventional forces are inherently kinetic if you work in the special operations realm, and every military branch has a special operations realm. It's, your ODA guys, your Green Berets, your Rangers, your MARSOC, Air Force PJ, CCT. They have a kinetic focus to their job. The JSOC aspect is more kinetically focused, and your job terminates in more of those type of activities. That was the biggest difference. There's a difference in capability because there's a difference in currency. Yeah. It's the same people. They wear the same uniform. If I took a doctor and I allowed him to operate or practice operating 1 day out of 30, he would not be as current and capable as a guy who did it 30 days out of 30. That's it. That's really the only difference. It can lull you into wanting to thumb your nose at the people who are your peers. It can lull you into being an asshole. Yeah. Some people take that opportunity, some don't. Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed, I guess, in addition to everything that you just outlined, is one of the things that I think hamstrings and holds back the regular SEAL teams is the reset button of every time you come back, is that you're getting a fresh batch of fucking retards from buds that are bringing you back to that ground zero level. Whereas at DAMNEC, like, guys at least have a couple of platoons under their belt, So I mean, to me that's an element too that I think plays a fucking pretty significant role. But
it does. And for people who are, again, might be getting lost, at a conventional team, you live on basically a 24-month cycle. You start an 18-month workup, and at the beginning of that, you meet your platoon. Yeah. You meet the people you're going to be with for the next 2 years. And at the end of that 2 years, 60% you think leave?
Yeah.
The leadership is certainly going to leave, which sometimes is a blessing.
Yeah.
And there'll be a core group of guys, but then it's 5 or 6 new guys. Yeah. Then it's new leadership, new headship, and you have to re-gel and re-figure out how you're going to work together and the strengths and the weaknesses, and break your unit up into pieces to make sure that you're mutually supporting. At development group, When I graduated from Green Team, I think 4 guys went to Gold Squadron.
Yeah.
There was 40 dudes there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they got a 10% influx of individuals, and not even every team got a brand new guy. And then every year it was every year it was a slow influx of individuals. It's not this bolus of fresh bodies. So I think it lets you keep up on step a little bit more.
Well, that, and I think just in terms of currency and competence that you speak of, is that, you know, a guy with 2 platoons under his belt, while isn't going to be at the level that you know, Dev Group guys are, he's still way fucking closer than a guy fresh out of STT.
And you can get the guy there quick after 2 platoons, especially if you strip away a lot of the other stuff they were focusing on. And you hand him a M4 or a HK 416 and say, this is your tool. Yeah. Master it.
This is your fucking scalpel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Amen. Just real quick, I know for me it didn't, but did politics play any type of role for you while you were on active duty in terms of it being a backdrop to feeling certain ways about countries you were in, what you were doing, who you were there with? Did that play any role, or was it kind of just a non-factor like it is, I think, for most of us?
I did not vote while I was in the military, and perhaps I'm an idiot, but the way I thought of it was that if you are an action arm of foreign policy, you should not have an input on the direction that it takes. You know, when you enlist in the military, you serve, or you swear an oath, right, to support and defend the Constitution and uphold the orders of the officers above you and the President of the United States. Yeah, doesn't mean that you have to like the President of the United States, and doesn't mean that you should like your job even more because you love the President of the United States. In my opinion, it shouldn't matter. You're serving the people, right, and the will of the people, or the elected officials that are supposed to govern the people. Whether or not you feel represented by that is a different story, but I never really thought about it. Yeah. If I'm being totally honest, I paid enough attention to politics to harass the people that I worked with by antagonizing them in arguments. Yeah. That's all that I did.
Yeah. No, I'm fucking right there with you. I mean, to me, I'd say similarly, like I think with most guys, it's the guy on the right and the left mentality of, like, you know, it doesn't matter why we're here. It doesn't matter who told us, why they told us. The fact is that we're here, like, you know, when flash crashes are going off and bullets are snapping over your head, like, it doesn't fucking matter anyway. You know, like, the fact is your job is to fucking kick ass and come home. But for me, and I'm curious if you had any of this too. I mean, I did a little over 12 years, but even in that amount of time, as I got, you know, further down the road in terms of career, and that little bit of peek behind the curtain was a little bit of the Wizard of Oz disparity, you know, in terms of, like, God damn, really? You know, there was a little bit of that, a little bit of disenfranchisement, and, you know, it's so romanticized as a bud student and as a new guy and whatever, that as you start to peel some of those layers of that fucking leadership onion away, I found some kind of heartbreaking shit, at least from my perspective. Did you have a similar experience? Yeah. I mean,
the harder you look through the magnifying glass at the SEAL teams, at the seams, the more you're going to find the bureaucracy. Yeah. And the reality is the military is a massive bureaucracy. It's not fast moving. Mm-hmm. The SEAL teams are faster moving. The JSOC commands are slightly faster moving than most. But if you look hard enough, you'll find it. You'll find, what I try to tell people is that there's weeds in every lawn, regardless of the size. That's true of...
And how nice the rest of the grass is.
Correct. You know. It's true of special operations. It's true of JSOC. It's true of whatever garden or grass that you're looking at. You're going to find some weeds. And the harder you look, the more you're going to find. You're going to find people who are there for self-serving reasons. You're going to find people who are there for a bullet on a resume, and that's all they want is a bullet on a resume. You're going to find people there for political aspirations. I'd say there's 2 of those individuals in the news recently.
Greitens and fucking Tippins.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't vote for him.
Yeah. Fucking shitbirds extraordinaire.
Unbelievable. And again, the SEAL team leadership could crush both of their souls, but they don't. Yeah. And they should. Yeah. And it's wrong. And it speaks to the moral compass of the SEAL teams, but it's a different topic. Yeah. Yes. Eventually you pull back the curtain and you realize that the machine running the engine is actually a donkey with a fly buzzing around its head. And you go, God damn it.
And a lame fucking back quarter.
It is. Yeah. And, you know, when I do public speaking and people ask me about leadership, I always say exactly the same thing. I say, during my time in the SEAL teams, I was surrounded by the most exceptional leaders that I've ever seen that have embodied every bit of humility and accountability and responsibility and empowerment. And I was also surrounded by the worst leaders that I've ever seen that embodied the exact opposite of all of those qualities that I just mentioned, because it's human beings.
Yeah.
And no selection process is perfect. There are some that are better than others. The SEAL selection process, I think, works really, really well. Yeah. You're still going to get weeds that come through. They're there. I did my best to not let the anomaly paint the norm, but you want to talk about, you get some bad taste in your mouth for sure.
Yeah.